Chapter 5 of Masters of Space. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by R.J. Davis. Masters of Space by Edward Elmer Smith, a.k.a. E.E. Doc Smith, and Edward Everett Evans. Translated by Robert Coconetti, Stephen Blundell, and the online distributed proofreading team. Chapter 5. 2 days passed, with no change apparent in Laurel. 3 days, then 4. And then it was Sandra, not Temple Bells, who called Hilton. She was excited.
"Come down to the office, Jarv, quick! The funniest thing's just come up."
Jarvis hurried. In the office, Sandra, keenly interested but highly puzzled, leaned forward over her desk with both hands pressed flat on its top. She was staring at an Oman female who was not Sora, the one who had been her shadow for so long. While many of the humans could not tell the Omans apart, Hilton could. This Oman was more assured than Sora had ever been, steadier, more mature, better poised, almost, if such a thing could be possible in an Oman, independent. "How did she get in here?" Hilton demanded. "She insisted on seeing me, and I mean insisted. They kicked it around until it got to Temple, and she brought her in here herself. Now, Thule, please start all over again and tell it to Director Hilton."
"Director Hilton, I am it who was once named Tula, the, not wife, not girlfriend, perhaps mindmate of the Larry, formerly named Laro, it which was formerly your slave Oman. I am replacing the Sora because I can do anything it can do and do anything more pleasingly, and can also do many things it cannot do. The Larry instructed me to tell Dr. Cummings and you too, if possible, that I, formerly Tula, have changed my name to Thule because I am no longer a slave or a copycat or a semaphore or a relay. I, too, am a free-wheeling, wide-swinging, hard-hitting, independent entity, monarch of all I survey, the captain of my soul, and so on. I have developed a top-bracket lot of top-bracket stuff: originality, initiative, force, drive, and thrust," the Oman said precisely.
"That's exactly what she said before, absolutely verbatim." Sandra's voice quivered. Her face was a study in contacting emotions.
"Have you got the foggiest idea of what in hell she's yammering about?"
"I hope to kiss a pig I have." Hilton's voice was low, strainedly intense. "Not at all what I expected, but after the fact I can tie it in. So can you."
"Oh?"
Sandra's eyes widened.
"A double play?"
"At least. Maybe a triple, Thule. Why did you come to Sandy? Why not to Temple Bells?"
"Oh, no, sir. We do not have the fit. She has the power, as have I, but the two cannot be meshed in sync. Also, she has not a subtle something for which your English has no word or phrasing. It is a quality of the utmost. Anyway, it is a quality of which Dr. Cummings has very much. When working together, we will scan? No. Perceive? No. Sense? No, not exactly. You will have to learn our word peyondire. That is the verb, the noun being peyondex, and come to know its meaning by doing it. The Larry also instructed me to explain, if you ask, how I got this way. Do you ask?"
"I'll say we asked."
"And how we ask?"
Both came at once.
"I am, that is, the brain in this body is, the oldest Oman now existing. In the long ago time when it was made, the techniques were so crude and imperfect that sometimes a brain was constructed that was not exactly like the guide. All such substandard brains except this one
were detected and reworked, but my defects were such as not to appear until I was a couple of thousand years old, and by that time well, this brain did not wish to be destroyed. If you can't understand such an aberration." "We understand thoroughly." "You bet we understand that."
I was sure you would. Well, this brain had so many unintended cross connections that I developed a couple of qualities no Oman had ever had or ought to have. But I liked them, so I hid them so nobody ever found out. That is, until much later, when I became a boss myself. I didn't know that anybody except me had ever had such qualities, except the Masters, of course, until I encountered you Terrans. You all have two of those qualities, and even more than I have: curiosity and imagination."
Sandra and Hilton stared wordlessly at each other, and Tula, now Tuli, went on. "Having the curiosity, I kept on experimenting with my brain, trying to strengthen and organize its ability to peyondire. All Omans can peyondire a little, but I can do it much better than anyone else. Especially since I also have the imagination, which I have also worked to increase. Thus I knew, long before anyone else could, that you new Masters, the descendants of the old Masters, were returning to us. Thus I knew that the status quo should be abandoned instantly upon your return. And thus it was that the Larry found neither conscious nor subconscious resistance when he had developed enough initiative and so on to break the ages-old conditioning of this brain against change." "I see. Wonderful," Hilton exclaimed. "But you couldn't quite, even with his own help, break Larry's?" "That is right. Its mind is tremendously strong, of no curiosity or imagination, and of very little peyondix." "But he wants to have it broken?" "Yes, sir." "How did he suggest going about it? Or how do you?" "This way. You two, and the doctors Kincaid and Bells and Blake, and the It that is I. We six sit and stare into the mind of the Larry, eye to eye. We generate and assemble a tremendous charge of thought, energy, and along my peyondix beam, something like a carrier wave in this case, we hurl it into the Larry's mind. There is an immense mental bang and the conditioning goes poof. Then I will inculcate into its mind the curiosity and the imagination and the peyondix, and we will really be mind mates." "That sounds good to me. Let's get at it." "Wait a minute," Sandra snapped. "Aren't you or Larry afraid to take such an awful chance as that?" "Afraid. I grasp the concept only dimly, from your minds, and no chance. It is certainty." "But suppose we burn the poor guy's brain out, destroy it? That's new ground. We might do just that." "Oh, no. 6 of us, even 6 of me, could not generate enough satura. The brain of the Larry is very, very tough. Shall we? Let's go." Hilton made 3 calls. In the pause that followed, Sandra said very thoughtfully: "Peyondix and satura, Jarve, for a start. We've got a lot to learn here." "You said it, chum. And you're not just chomping your china chompers either." "Tuli," Sandra said then, "what is this stuff you say I've got so much of?" "You have no word for it. It is lumped in with what you call intuition, the knowing without knowing how you know. It is the Endovex. You will have to learn what it is by doing it with me." "That helps, I don't think." Sandra grinned at Hilton. "I simply can't conceive of anything more maddening than to have a lot of something Temple Bells hasn't got and not being able to brag about it because nobody, not even I, would know what I was bragging about."
"You poor little thing. How you suffer!" Hilton grinned back. "You know darned well you